Last week, a lot of economists were actually kind of reluctant to comment on the December inflation, because so many questions were left unanswered, even though we had the head of department of prices and statistics, trade statistics, from the National Bureau of Statistics on the program, trying to help us understand what methodology change again that we had. Remember, we just had a change of methodology by December, between December 2024 and January 2025. So we're expecting the December inflation number to have a spike. Even the NBS had warned us before then to say we should expect a spike in the December inflation number because of the year-on-year impacts, because, of course, the new methodology started in January 2025. So by December 2024, we're still on the old methodology, and then suddenly we saw the numbers from the NBS, and there was no spike. In fact, instead of that, we saw a drop in inflation, because November inflation number, which had been placed at about 14%, was now at 17%. And that meant that having December inflation at 15.15%, there was a drop between November and December. Well, let's find out what Dr. Ayodele thinks about all of this. We heard earlier about from Dr. Muda Yusuf of CPPE. Let's find out what Dr. Ebo thinks. Dr. Ebo, good morning, and good to have you on the program.
Yeah, good morning, Ini.
So, what are your thoughts on the December inflation? First, we saw a recalculation of November inflation to over 17%, and then we now see December inflation drop, in spite of the fact that we had been warned earlier by economists, even by the NBS, that there will be a spike in December.
Yeah, so I think firstly, some of these happenings also impact on confidence. While we know that NBS is the reference point for the data, which we all have to work with, some of these new developments have impacted on the confidence around the data. So if you recall, just a year ago, investors are still trying to come to terms with the new rebase, given a lot of the changes which led to the moderation that we are seeing. And with the same NBS also informing us that we should expect a spike due to the rebasing. So I feel that let me just assume that some of the rules that they have also adopted now, they might be in existence, may be correct, but what the feeler is that, are they doing this to, you adopt some rules that favors you? It's always been in existence even before the last rebase. So are you doing this to ensure that it aligns with your expectation? These are some of the questions that it will throw up. So I don't think it's portrayed us in a good light, having some of this distortion, while it aligns with global standard. But I would say that maybe it could have been handled better, given that the same organization is coming up with two different views within a space of a month. Sometimes they say action speaks louder than, yeah. So I think that's going to be my view. So you look at the November numbers based on the review, currently at 17.33 compared to about 14.5 that we had at the last, using the old methodology, if we'll put it that way. So, but we just have to move forward, and maybe everyone learns their lesson from this. Thank you.
So, Dr. Ebo, from what you hear, we had an old methodology that was used in December. Then, December 2024, and then we had a rebasing and the new methodology that came into effect by January 2025. Now, we don't know, is it back to the former old or the new old? What can we expect? Because the truth is, even before now, a lot of Nigerians did not have a lot of confidence from the data that comes from the NBS. And now we have this. So the level of trust drops even further. And I mean, which methodology are we sticking to now? Because whichever, even if we change our methodology now, when you come to year on year by this time next year, we're still going to have almost the same effect.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So if we recall, coming from that's 2024 December to January, what we had was a rebase, which means, and also a change in the weightings of the weightings of the baskets. You know, inflation, it's a basket of goods, and the methodology was 1 point using a year on year, and now using an average. Yes, in analysis, you can call it normalization, but even when you look at in accounting, yes, as an accountant, you also don't change when you are using one principle. You see recognition of depreciation, for instance. You can't change from the straight line method suddenly and you change to reducing balance. That is why, so that you don't see like you are managing your books. That's why those rules have been there. If you are going to choose a methodology, you should be able to see forward and align with that methodology. But changing we say you are changing the rules in the middle of the game, actually have very negative perception. You can see, based on like what you are saying now, are we going to expect that if the data does not favor us again, are we going to go back to another methodology? These are questions that Nigerians will be asking, and it's really important that we don't get ourselves this, because what most people, what we hear on the street, for some, when you approach, people approach you and say, you guys are economists, what's going on? Are we trying to walk back to are we walking from the answer to, we're walking from answer to the question? Is that what is going on? So these are some of the things that I think will not really project well. So I don't expect that there should be any within the next 2-3 years. You know, rebasing is, I think, 4 years that you statistically that you can rebase, but we don't expect that methodology should also now change again within the next 1 year if we see a misalignment in data. So this really does not really augur well for the perception for foreign investors. Look at which methodology would they be, because most analysts have done their projection looking at using the old methodology. So for the NBS to come up with a new methodology within a short period, yes, when you look at the rules, globally, it's part of global practice, but you know, we have rules, and sometimes people adopt the one that favors them at that particular time. Just like when you look at financial reporting, are you adopting your investment? Is it held to maturity, or you are doing holding for trading? The rules forbid you from just switching your asset from one rule. If the condition favors you at that particular time, you have to stick to one rule, which is what the MBS, I think, should continue to adopt going forward.
Hope, as you said, I mean, you don't change the rules in the middle of the game, you know, when the numbers do not favor you. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ayodele. Thank you. We really appreciate your time joining in this morning. Is the Managing Director of Pluto's Neo by AfriInvest, Dr. Ayodele.
Thank you for having me.